everybody. It's Tipsy Tuesday 2025. Who's ready for Tipsy Tuesday? What's it called when you do the chicky, 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 chicky? Look how pretty!
A fun weekly show where we grab our favorite drink. Salud!
Diana!
I say, it's nice.
We take our bras off.
Somebody just wrote chicken.
And we laugh at people from around the world.
Yeah, I want some cheese and crackers. Of course I do.
Sometimes we even have guests.
So put your jammies on.
It's time for Tipsy Tuesday.
Hey everybody, it's Tipsy Tuesday. Welcome. Well, oh, look, I didn't realize those janky boxes were there. Let me see if I can block it. Still janky. Good evening, everybody. It's Tipsy Tuesday. Girl, who needed Tipsy Tuesday tonight? Does anybody just want to, everybody take a deep breath, right? Who is ready to close out 2025? It's only been a week. It's day 7 of 2025. We are in front of the fireplace. Thanks, Lynn. Getting nice and cozy warm. I don't know about where everybody else is, but it is freezing. Freezing. I went food shopping tonight. I thought I was going to die. Yeah, it's been a lot already. Exactly. Hello from Virginia Beach, Joanna. I thought Lou's back was your leg. Girl, that's how I sit, like this. It looks like a dog leg. No, it's not. It was Lulu. I'm an Uber queen today. I'm done because it's so cold. Katie? How much longer till 2026? I'm definitely over this already. Girl. Is it April yet? So close. Okay, I don't even know what you wrote, but we're here for you. I fell in the second and broke my butt, so I'm done with 2025. What? Can you break your butt? I don't know. So we're in front of the fireplace. It's a different fireplace. If you haven't been around in a while, you may know that I have moved to a foreign country called Pennsylvania. I don't know what language they speak here. I don't know where the stores are. I'm still learning cultural things. So today was another move day. I don't know if anybody, okay, so this is what happened. What happened? So when I was on my, we'll say soft launch move day, I had COVID. So my kids just took whatever was in my hamper, went over to my desk, did like this, took all of my cosmetics and whatever clothes I was currently wearing. And that's what I've been living off of. Today, I went back to the house to clear out my closet. And it is on YouTube, Elaine. And so I'm cleaning my closet out. And the entire time that I'm emptying the closet into these 3 boxes, I'm like, this is so stupid. Why do I have these clothes? Let me ask you something. If I told you right now, you have to go clean your closet out and move all of it somewhere else, how much of it would you drop off at the local Goodwill? Percentage. Give me a percentage. Because I'm almost positive I'm not going to wear anything that I brought. There's at least 6 boxes. And I'm positive I don't wear any of that. And I have not found my hoops. These have been transitional hoops that I've been wearing. I did have a drawer that had jewelry in it. I'm like, I don't wear any of this jewelry. Why do I have it? And I was like, this is a perfect example of how much stuff do you have in your house? Girl, you don't even use it. Best advice I can give you right now, move. 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 And when you move, you're going to be like, why do I have this stuff? Realistically, I should be living like I'm 95 and I'm moving into my last nursing home. That's how I want to live. 75%, 50% going to Goodwill, 90% going to Goodwill, 80% going to Goodwill, 60% going to Goodwill. And the whole time I'm lugging these dumb boxes. I'm like, I don't even wear these clothes. And I'm going to say it right now. And raise your hand if you're with me. Now, you know I keep saying I'm going to do stuff on Instagram. I swear I'm going to. I started making a schedule. You're like, okay, Dina. Let me ask you something. I want to do a series on Instagram. Let's say for 3 months, 3 to 6 months. I will not buy any new clothes. And I only shop at Goodwills like my daughters. And I dress like my daughters. If I said to you, for the next 3 months, you have to dress like your daughters, describe what you would look like. I'm going to tell you something. I, with $50, could have an entirely new wardrobe. I would have a tube top matched with a very large skirt, maybe like some kind of sparkly, like jingly gypsy shawl, and probably like a headscarf, and I'd look amazing. Joe Mom was like, thank you. Leggings and crop tops. You're naked, Debbie. Homeless. I would look homeless. Janice, it's all part of it. I don't do it myself, Terry. All right, Lisa, if she says, I have a son, no daughters. Okay, so you have to dress like your son. How would you describe what you would look like? How would you describe your new look? I swear, I'm going to do a whole series on Instagram where I only shop for like 3 months. And I only dress like my daughter. What? Brooke, I've decided I hate all my clothes. I'm going to get rid of it. My daughter dresses well. Huh?
Are you getting rid of the clothes down here?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't like it. I don't wear it.
Can I look through it?
Yo. I didn't even go through it.
You just said.
I have to go through it. And then I'm going to get rid of stuff.
Can I look at it now?
Brooke, how would you describe your fashion and the fashion of the girls your age?
I feel like it's a little different. I feel like mine kind of.
Hoodies and leggings. And I only have one son, and I would be a hobo. My daughter wears more expensive clothes than I do. Lots of shirts.
I've had the same clothes for a while.
Boho chic. You guys are going to be like, something's wrong with Dina.
Do you have any storage containers? Not storage containers.
No, like tubs?
No, not tubs. I need something to put like my makeup in. Or like little boxes or something.
I don't know. Okay, you're just going to, all right.
Oh, I needed a lighter.
Yeah, Brooke is like, I just scored some new clothes. Yeah. Sherry, Brooke will be living with Di once school starts. So she's at college, so school doesn't start for another 2 weeks, I think. Mostly homeless, but if I dress like my son, I would be dressed in polos and khakis. My daughter still wears clothes, so more of her wanting to dress like me, but I wear leggings and t-shirts. I would look like Adam Sandler. My friend's daughter is 16 and wears slippers everywhere she goes. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I was like, I'm going to take $50. I'll be able to buy a whole new wardrobe only at the Goodwill. So I'm going to work on it. 2 sons. If I dress like them, I'd be looking homeless, but I would dress like the other one. It'd look like I belong at a golf course. Isn't that funny? Ain't nothing wrong with the thrifting gift. That's what I'm saying. I don't have the kind of money to go out and buy new clothes. So I'm just going to thrift it and just make it cool. And we're going to see how it turns out. I don't think it's going to go well. But let's see how our male counterparts are going. So tonight we have a fabulous guest. We have known each other for years. He is a hilarious comedian. He's got kids of his own, so I can't wait to hear what his thoughts are and what he would look like if he started dressing like his kids. You're going to love him to death. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Let's see. Joe Matarese has been on The Howard Stern Show, WTF with Mark Maron, The Late Show with David Letterman, Comedy Central presents Joe Matarese, The Late Show with Craig Kilborn and Craig Ferguson, Last Comic Standing, Chelsea Lately, and The Better Half, where he and his wife took home the winning prize. Joe was also featured on America's Got Talent, where he received a standing ovation from all 4 celebrity guests. Joe has 3 comedy specials, Medicated, The Poster's Wrong, and Mullets and Mixtapes. They are now available to watch for free on Joe's YouTube channel. And his current tour is called 93.7% Italian. And if your name ends in a vowel, you'll love his stand-up show. And if you aren't Italian, you'll still enjoy at least 6.7% of it. So please help me welcome to the show, Joe Matarese. Here we go. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's been forever since we've hung out, so thanks for being here.
It's really sad when you haven't seen people for a long time, and then you come and they're, and you got to show the old version of yourself, and they really notice it because they remember the last time they saw you.
This is all silver. Look at it. All silver.
I like it.
We match each other.
I tell my wife to let her hair go gray all the time. I think women look good with it. I like it.
It's so funny because when I decided to go silver, I like to say silver, not gray. If you use silver, Joe, you might talk her into it. But I decided to go silver. Every woman that I told was like, do not do this. This is a horrible idea. And every man I told was like, I bet that is going to look so beautiful. And because I'm poor and I don't want to spend $200 every 3 weeks, I decided to do it. So I have saved a lot of money for Goodwill shopping. So it's going to be great.
Well, not to be negative, but you can tell that it's not all the way grown in yet. I could still see a lot of non-gray.
Yeah, so that's
highlights
transitional, Joe. It's transitional highlighting that was done, because if it wasn't, my hair, when it's growing in, it literally had like a shelf. So it was like just silver and then a shelf and then this. So she put highlights in, but I think there's like another 2 or 3 months and then it's gone.
Well, that's what I always wonder. Like, if I was one of those dudes that still dyed his hair, and I'm like, I'm not dyeing my beard. So and look how white this beard is. This is the longest I've ever had my beard right now, by the way.
Really?
I'm trying to do this Jason Kelsey beard or something. I don't know what it is.
He's very hot right now, that Jason Kelsey. So it's a good choice you've made.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. So you and I met through stand-up. So you had been doing stand-up long before me. So I'm at 22 years. What are you at?
I'm over 32. I'm probably 34 years in. I started when I was 19 and I'm 57.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm one of the rare comedians. I never had a hiatus either. I don't know. Did you ever quit and go back to it?
No, I think I just I made turns, right? So I did a couple of years in warm up. So I was still doing it here and there, but I was so exhausted from doing warm up in the city and that travel back and forth. So I wasn't doing it much.
But you got to do stand up when you do warm up. I mean, that's stand up.
I know it's the same, but I really have to get back to doing clubs, but I feel like I took hiatuses, still comedy. But just not like club comedy. So I did the warm up for a while. I was off Broadway for a while, so I wasn't really doing the clubs. And then I was touring for a while, so I wasn't doing the clubs. So I guess it just depends. So no, I guess I didn't really.
Now I'm interviewing you. Here's a question. So when you did warm up, did you not do any stand up at any clubs or theaters during that time?
Not really, because I was getting up at 4 a.m. to be at work by 7:30, and I'd be there for 8 hours drive. And we're both. So you're originally from what? Cherry Hill, right?
Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Yeah.
And so I grew up. I was in Winslow, so I was even further south than you, but. It's 2.5 hours, and so by the time the weekend came, and I had 3 little kids. It just was just too much. So I was here and there I was doing it, but
So it was 5 days a week.
It was a lot. So, but still comedy. And now I do this show and I'm trying to write a book about how my life imploded. So, I'm still doing comedy here, but doing videos and stuff. But this is about you.
You got to, okay, make it about me, but I don't look at you. I didn't know you imploded. What imploded?
Oh Yeah. So
I don't know.
briefly,
You're still married.
I know,
Are
Joe
you
and I
divorced?
haven't seen each other in forever.
Are
So
you divorced?
So I'm divorced. My dad passed away. I hit menopause. I started getting pellets in my butt, which is a whole conversation.
Pellets.
Then all my kids moved out. So my kids are 25, 22, and 20. And then I started dating, and then I just moved in with my boyfriend. So this is a new fireplace that we're in front of.
Oh,
So
so you're in a I was going to say a woman as pretty as you isn't going to stay on the shelf too long.
yeah, you're silly. It was a long time, just so you know. It was
How
they
long?
were rough years. So
How long were you single?
I would say it was probably 3 years from the time where things got, like not so pretty to.
Well, to your audience out there, this isn't that awkward because I don't think I ever met your husband. I
No,
don't remember
I
ever
don't think
meeting
you
him.
did. No, I don't think you did.
You hid him.
Yeah, so just catching up. But I feel like the last time I saw you, you were doing the podcast with your cousin, right? Was it Morning Joe, Cup of Joe? What was it?
Well, everybody makes fun of me because I had so many different podcasts, but I don't have one now. And I haven't had one for multiple years. But
it was you and your cousin, and he was like a psychologist. Is that
yeah,
it?
we never did a podcast together, but we did live shows with a therapist on stage, where the therapist would kind of sit there on stage and take notes while the comedian was on stage, and then he would psychoanalyze him, and I was like the Dr. Drew on the show. I was the in-between.
Ah.
We
All
did
right.
that
And I don't think you were married then. So I feel like I missed the marriage, the kids. Like, how long you been married?
I've been married for 22 years.
Okay, then you must have been married then.
I was married then, yeah.
You were married, but no kids, right? How old are your kids?
I have 2 kids. I had kids later than you. So I have a 12-year-old at 57 years old, and I have a 17-year-old son who's about to figure out what college he's going to. So when you mentioned the college stuff, I got a lot of questions if you could help me with that.
Yeah. Now, just out of curiosity, because I've decided that all my clothes are ugly. If you dressed like your son, what would you consider that style to be?
That's funny. That's a good question. Well, I just saw him. I mean, I've never seen him wear pants. It's always sweatpants. It's all sweatpants. Shorts in the summer and t-shirts, and then sweatpants. Like now that he's 17 and he finally has his full-time driver's license, and he's looking to figure out which college he's going to go to because he's a senior in high school. He all of a sudden has a few pairs of pants, and like I've never seen him wear a pair of jeans. Like he doesn't wear that. So
is he a sports guy? Is that why? Is he sporty?
He plays baseball. He's on the high school baseball team. I would say all of his friends, he's very into sports. He doesn't necessarily play every sport, but he wants to take up sports management when he goes to college. He's interested in sports, a lot, but that can change as anyone who has.
Now, has he shown any interest in stand-up?
That's another great question. I taught a stand-up class over the summer to teenagers at the West Side Comedy Club, and you probably went through this where your kids need shit to add on to their college resumes, so it looks like they're well-rounded.
Right.
So my wife, was like, she's like she was so on top of him about college and helping him. She's finally at the stage where she doesn't have to help him with his homework anymore. She doesn't give a shit because the SATs are done. I'm done.
Whatever.
Yes. She's like, whatever. I don't even care. But when it came to those times, she was like, you need to go to the comedy school with your dad. And he was like, what the hell am I going to do? She's like, well, you're around the same age as the students, so you could give input.
Okay.
Which was the first week when he came to the comedy class. And I'm a comedian, so I have to throw the family under the bus. It's not funny if I'm nice about my kid right now.
Yeah.
I think he came with me into the city in my car and was an hour late to my class because he's like, I'm going to go grab something to eat really fast, which took an hour and 10 minutes. I'm like, there's 40 pizza plaplaces on this block.
Yeah. Where did you go? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember the next week he came and he was like sleeping in the middle of comedy class, and I'm like, dude, you're killing me. You can't fall asleep. These guys are pursuing their dreams. They're teenagers.
Mhm.
But then he made a strong recovery and was a good teacher's assistant the last like 3 or 4 classes.
So did he end up getting up and doing stand-up at the show, the ending show?
No, but he actually said something that I never heard him ever say in his life, which was, I think I could do it. I'm not sure I want to, but I think I could do it. Because all of his ideas for the other students
Mhm.
were funny ideas. Like him and I were on the same wavelength. Like we knew when something was a way wrong direction for a student. And he would say, like, he had stuff written on his, on his notes, and I'd be like, that's exactly what I thought when I saw that guy.
That's
But
awesome.
growing up, I always thought that my daughter was the one who was going to
Really?
be the actress or the stand-up comedian.
And how old is she, you said?
She's 12, but she mellowed out. Like she was like the always on hilarious kid when she was young. And like,
she's a girl. They mellow, and then they get real nasty, and then they talk to you around 22.
she hasn't gotten nasty. She's just gotten kind of quiet. She's quiet now.
Yet,
She was hilarious when she was young. Like during COVID, there used to be an app. I don't even think it exists anymore. It was called Stage It. Did you ever hear of that one?
No.
It was popular for about 3 or 4 years, and when COVID hit, it got really popular. You could basically do what you're doing right now,
Okay.
and you could charge cover charges. And people would have to buy tickets to it, which you can do now through all the social media. But back then, you couldn't do it through any social media. So her and I decided we were going to do a sketch comedy show. We wrote sketches together, and we acted them out in front of the camera and sold tickets. Of course, it was, all friends and family and neighbors.
That's awesome.
And when she was done, she goes, "Daddy, that wasn't fun." And I go, that's because you don't get the best part of being a comedian. You just hearing laughter. When you do this, it's like there's no laughter, as you know from doing a Facebook or we're on StreamYard. Well, you're probably streaming onto your Facebook page, right? You hear no laughs unless someone can click that they laugh. Do they do that?
Yeah, no, they don't do that. But a lot of times they'll do like a LMAO or LOL or something. But when I did radio, that was the first time that it was like working in a vacuum. And I was like, I really need somebody to just call and laugh. Like it was really jarring to me, but I had done stand up enough that I knew the rhythm. I was like, I know this is funny. And you almost had to like trust it, that you're nailing it, even though you can't hear any feedback. So at least I had that. But so I have 3 kids, and when they became seniors in high school, do you know Vince Valentine, comedian?
That name sounds, I know, no, but I know a Gary Valentine, but not Vince.
Yeah. No, this guy, Vince Valentine, he's down here in South Jersey, but he teaches a comedy class because I knew my kids wouldn't take a comedy class that I taught. So their senior years of high school, they had to take this comedy class with Vince Valentine. It was offered at the local community college. So Dean did it, and they went through it and did the graduation show. Jacqueline, my middle, missed it because of COVID. And then my daughter Brooke did it. And of the 3 of them, the one that's killing it right now in stand-up is the one that missed the class. And so all my kids, 2 of them graduated, and now 2 of them live in Brooklyn and are doing stand-up up in Brooklyn. So it's very funny.
All 3 of your kids do stand-up?
So 2 of them are doing it kind of, one is full-time, one is part-time. And
wow.
You're not allowed to start doing stand-up until you graduate college. So I have one that's still at Rowan, and she's a music major. But it's interesting to watch them. And they're so funny, Joe, because I think that they're, your son clearly has watched you do stand-up. My kids have watched me do stand-up.
Well, they haven't seen me like crush it. Like I think, like I had to go up at the end of the comedy school, because you're I did the dumb thing, which is headline the graduation show.
Yeah.
And my son's there, my wife's there, and my 12-year-old daughter are there. And
okay.
If you want to throw a comedian off, just throw family members right in the front row. That's all you got to do.
It's not good.
I can't do comedy in front of my wife and 2 kids. I felt totally not like my my normal self. I was like
can't
all
be.
self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do that well. I mean, when I did America's Got Talent,
Mm.
they were little and they had to come on stage in front of 3,000 people. So that was crazy. I would have thought that would have made them. They were like celebrities in their school. Well, my daughter was only 1.5 or 2, so she wasn't even in preschool yet. But my
Wow.
son was like 7 or 8, so he was like a celebrity when he went back to school. They
Wow.
all
Now,
saw
Donna
him.
Shields said, I saw you at Pittman Theater 2 weeks ago. You were hilarious.
That was an
If he comes to a
amazing.
city near you, make sure you get tickets to see him.
That was an amazing show. That one took me by surprise. Have you ever been? That was my first time.
Yeah, no, Pittman's right in like my area where I grew up. That's where I launched the off-Broadway show for the first time. It's a great theater.
I thought I did it the day after Christmas, and I was like, it's not going to sell.
Right.
And then it sold. We sold a lot of tickets, and I was like, wow, I got to do a show every year. I'm trying to do the Collingswood Theater next year at that same time around Christmas.
Oh, the Scottish Rite?
Yeah, I've done that before, but I've been trying to find a home in South Jersey for a between Christmas and New Year's show for like 5 or 6 years.
Really?
And the reason I have a friend who I met in New York City when I first moved here in like 1996.
Right.
Justin McKinney, who ended up moving to New Hampshire after we both had lived in Los Angeles together when we were younger comedians. And he's kicks ass in that area. Like you see these comedians, they'll move to their area, and now you're just he's like a star in New Hampshire, and he does 6 to 8 sold out shows in a row between Christmas and New Year's every year, and he's up to, like, did I just say he did 8 sold out shows, and this is an 850 seat theater.
That's awesome.
And he kicks ass. But then he's a typical comedian. He complains. He's like, but I can't sell in Chicago. I'm like, who gives a shit?
That's so funny. So wait, so take everybody back to the America's Got Talent. So how did that pan out? How did that all come together?
Terrible. Like that was like if I was ever on anybody's podcast. It's amazing now how many years ago it was, because my son, it's got to be 11 or 12 years ago, and it's still like something that comes up whenever you're interviewed, because it went horrifically bad after unbelievable, because those shows live on drama, right?
Oh.
So I get a standing ovation the first episode in front of 3. They did it backwards the year I was on it, which is make it far enough to perform in front of the live audience.
Okay.
In back then, Howard Stern was a judge. It was Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel, and the Spice Girl.
Oh yeah, that girl.
What's her name?
Gary Spice.
Gary Spice. Yeah. Mel. Is it Mel?
B.
Mel B. I might be getting that wrong. Is it Mel B?
It is. It's Mel B.
Okay. So they were the judges, and what a hard thing to do, because back then my daughter, like I said, she wasn't much older than between 1 and 2, somewhere in there. And if any of your fans watching, can you imagine trying to contain a girl between 1 and 2? They make you bring your whole family when you do those shows, and then they put you in a holding room for, no lie, like 13 hours. I'm not even exaggerating. 13 hours. I'm sitting there with a table of Subway sandwiches and some cookies and trying to entertain my 13-year-old without her losing her mind, and then my 7-year-old son. And I'm about to go on stage to do my stand-up performance. Typical show business. Mm-hmm. I'm literally in the wings. I'm looking outside the stage. Like, here I go. I'm going to go on. Mm-hmm. And they come up to me and go, oh, we decided to bump you to tomorrow. Can you bring your whole family back again?
No, I can't.
And my wife has a full-time job. She's like, I can't. I'm like, Steph. And I'm like, this is the second time, because you mentioned it in my intro where we were on a reality show together called The Better Half. You said, did you say that in the intro?
Yeah, you guys won the big prize.
Yeah, I had to, in that one I had to teach her how to do stand-up comedy, and then she had to compete against another comedian's wife. and we ended up winning the 20 grand. And so she had already done that for me once, like go on. Somehow her and I are great on reality shows because we like,
Who knew?
you know what it was? We got in an argument in the room when we were auditioning, and we walk out of the auditioning room. She goes, "What the? I can curse on here, right?" She goes,
I
she
mean,
goes,
you have already.
I'll say hell. I'll say hell. What the hell is your problem? Why were you being like that? I go, we booked the show. And she goes, why do you say that? I go, you think they want two people that get along? That's not fun. That's not what they're looking for. I go,
That's
they want bickering, you know, because my
Yeah,
wife, if no one knows out there, my wife has a PhD. I went to community college. It just creates chaos a lot and I have ADD. I'm a bad listener, and she's focused, like so focused. So it's like,
get it together.
Yeah, we're like, what the hell? Somehow we ended up married.
So wait, so what happened? So you do the first show and you kill, but what happens in the second show?
So then the second show, they do the reverse, of what they normally did. They go, you're got to perform in front of no audience now. Because this is what's even more classic, and total TV always has curveballs, especially these reality shows. I always tell comedians and anyone out there who's a singer and you want to do one of these reality shows to try to make it, please try to do anything you can, but do one of these, because there's a 95% chance they're going to make you look bad. And you know it because you're signing. I'm not lying. The contract, I can't show my fingers. It was 100 pages long. They can ruin your life, and there's nothing you can do.
It's awful.
So I'm about to perform with no audience, but I don't know it's no audience at first. They have an audience. They have everything at this other location. We're about to do it, and they call all of the talent into a room, and they announce we're not going to do the audience. There's technical difficulties. We're going to send all the audience home today, and it's going to take us about 4 or 5 hours, but we're going to have it ready, and you're just going to perform for the judges. And to a stand-up comedian, that's like, I can't. How do I do comedy for 4 people?
Yeah,
right. And I don't know how well you know me, Dina, but I'm the king of I don't know how to shut up. Like it makes me a good comedian, that I'm very honest, but it can make things awkward sometimes because I'm so honest, right?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So what do you do?
So I have to walk out there in front of Howard Stern. Like Howard Stern was like my idol, especially then. I listened to him a lot. So like I cared what this guy thought, right? But in my mind, I'm not a moron. I'm like, look, I got a standing ovation. They're all gonna remember me and be like, oh, it's Joe Matarese. Like any normal person would have been like, oh, it's the guy we gave a standing ovation to that we said might have a chance of winning this whole thing. That's what they brought me up so high. And then I walk out there and this was a mistake by me. I picked the same act that I had planned in front of the audience. Now, anyone that's a stand-up comedian would probably know if you're doing stand-up for 4 people versus 1,000, you need to do jokes that are quick, right? I just did the same thing that was like this story about my wife that sucks because it literally, we weigh our jokes by what numbers it gets on social media. Like that one might have got the first time I might have posted it might have got 1 million views. It's like it used to be one of my funniest jokes,
right?
But I did it there, and this is when I knew this is fake. The show's fake, and they're trying to not like me because they're sitting there like this when I'm performing, like, and I'm like, why would they be looking at me mean if they gave me a standing ovation, right? And then I also knew this about America's Got Talent, which was one of my, Dan Natterman, right?
Yeah.
So Dan was also in it that year, and Dan got to skip this whole round. He already got pushed forward to the next round, but no one was really supposed to know that. But Dan's my friend, so I knew that. So I'm going, if he's already to the next round, and I see how these shows work, they're not putting 2 white guys that are in their early 50s. Because the people I was against a girl comic who was really funny. And she was semi-famous. I mean, she probably did Letterman 12 times. Why am I forgetting her? She has those real misdirection type jokes. And she lives in Los Angeles. Why am I forgetting her name? She's
You're not talking about Tig.
not Tig. She's in the next era before Tig. I don't want to sound anti-Semitic, but Jewish woman.
Oh,
Dark hair. Not Judy Gold. She's real misdirection. Like when I say misdirection, I mean, you know, those comedians that take you like Tom Cotter style, where they do a word play to take you the other way.
I don't know.
She was famous for that. She was the first comedian I ever saw that really did that misdirection style, and she was real dry. Not Stephen Wright dry, but just a little more than
somebody's gonna guess it in the
someone will get it.
Yeah.
And she was like big in the 90s. So I was told that was the other. She used to open for Howie Mandel.
It's not Sarah Silverman.
No, more like jokey, like quick jokes.
Yeah.
I know her. God, she used to date a guy that I know.
Miriam, Lisa Ann. I don't know who any of those people
No,
are.
that's a close one. Like a Lisa Ann Walters. Is that who you're going to say? Yeah, she's around that same time period. If you just looked up female comedians that have done Letterman 10 to 15 times, there's probably not a lot.
Somebody said Judy Tenuto. That's an amazing guess.
That's a good one. That's a good one. But Judy Tenuto, not dry. She had an accordion. Judy Tenuto. It was Judy Tenuto, right?
Gosh, yeah.
So to the rest of the story, so when I walk out there, they're giving me the stink eye, and I call them out on it, like in my set, because they talk to you after your set. It wasn't during my jokes. I did my joke, the little story. They gave me more than zero, like a negative 50. They were giving me. They were just trying to not laugh. I go, why are you guys being like that? I said to them afterwards, they go, I don't understand. Like you acting like you don't remember me.
Did you guys remember me? You love
I know you. And the other thing is I've been on the Howard Stern show. How are you not you don't remember me? You interviewed me on your radio show. I used to tour with Artie Lang. He talks about me on your show sometimes. Come on. So there was no.
I mean, good for you for saying something, because I remember when Last Comic Standing came out, and it was much the same. Like you were either gonna look amazing, or you were gonna look like the dumbest person on the planet. And I just wouldn't say anything. But I was like, this is such a setup. Just don't say anything, because I remember being downstairs and the auditions were above our heads, and you could hear comedians losing their minds. And I was like, whatever happens, don't do that, because that's going to be on camera. And that's what they want. They want you to lose your mind. And I was like, oh, this is awful. Like, it's just
focus. Well, I even remember doing Last Comic Standing. One of the producers outside of the taping goes, don't worry about it, man. This isn't about comedy. That's what he said. This isn't about comedy. I'm like, we're doing comedy, though. What do you mean it's not about comedy?
Wow.
It was about personalities then, whereas this show was about personalities too, but it's also about creating drama, which I can remember doing Last Comic Standing. I was noticing comedians not acting like themselves, acting like assholes on purpose, because they thought that would make them get picked to be, because remember then they made you live in a house together.
Oh, there were a couple seasons of that. All right. So somebody said Sandra Bernhard, Kathleen Madigan, Carol Leifer.
You're so close.
Wendy Liebman.
There it is. Wendy Liebman. She's great. So she was on it with me. So not only did I say that, well, all that stuff that I said that I just told you, they didn't air that. They edited that out. But what they did is they do an edit where they add all these all these sound effects. They zoom in on your hands and go, and then Joe had to go on, and he was nervous. And they just zoom in on your knuckles, so it makes you look nervous. I'm like, I wasn't nervous. I didn't care.
So funny.
And I don't think I played the game correctly either, which was I remember them, when you do Last Comic Standing, also they do these interviews with you and they'll try to lead you a certain way. They go, so if you lose tonight, you probably never be able to do comedy again, right? Like you're done after this. You'll have to go back. You'll have to go find a regular job, right? And I'm like, no, I mean, I make a living doing stand up. And they're like, no, 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 no. You're out of the game if you don't win right now. And your wife and your kids are going to be so let down. And I didn't want to. And then that's why I thought there was a piece of me, because the joke that I did tell on the second episode, it had nothing to do with being a dad. And in that first episode, when I did get the standing ovation, all my jokes were dad jokes.
Dad
Which is
days.
perfect for America. It's an 8:00 show on a weekday.
Wow.
They want it's like, if you went on there and did all mom jokes, they'd love it. You could probably win.
Hill.
You
Now,
should do it.
Mary Restella said, I saw Joe in Mullica Hill in a field. Still
Yep.
funny. Was that during? I'm hoping that was during COVID, and you just don't do shows in fields.
It was in the middle of, it was one of those COVID's almost over. And I did 2 different shows during COVID, and COVID's almost over in Mullica Hill outside. I had 2 of those. Yeah,
That's a great town for it too.
Those people are so nice. Because is she the same one who came to Pittman? Because someone came up to me in Pittman and said, I saw you in a field in Mullica Hill and I liked it, so I came to the theater.
Isn't that funny that you're just as famous for your show in a field as you are for America's Got Talent? Which I love.
It's drama again. It's like, I don't know how to that's something I haven't figured out as a comedian.
What's that?
Is how to be dramatic on the internet and have that be some thing that gets you a big following. I can't figure it out.
Most of the time when we've had videos go viral, it's because I'm drunk in them. I don't know if that'll help you at all. But the
thing is I've had videos go viral. You need 200 videos to go viral. I've had some that have, they'll do the YouTube ones, but sometimes they're drama. Like I had some guy telling me I was racist in Hartford, and him and his wife walked out of the show, and this guy in the audience imitated them. And it was really hilarious. Like that got I don't know, 500, 600,000 on YouTube. I've had other things get a few million on YouTube, but it's like you need a steady flow of those to really crank it out. It's, but you still, I think there's got to be, you got to have a really strong self-awareness. It's like, okay, well, what? It's weird how I have a great self-awareness for somebody else. I'll be like, I remember I worked with I worked with this comic once. I'll never forget it. He did 25 minutes of jokes just about regular observations. And then his last 3 minutes were about how he was in prison for 10 years. And I go up to him, I go, dude, why is your whole 30 minutes not about being in prison? I go, I've never met a comedian talk about prison. I'm fascinated. I want to hear so much about that.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're right. I never even thought of it. Right. And then he never made it, but this comedian Ali Sadiq now is humongous, and he's had 4 comedy specials, and they're all about how he did 12 or 14 years in prison.
Really?
He's amazing. I mean,
So I hear you saying I need to commit a felony.
Yes, you need to have something that makes you stand out amongst the pile. It's
felonies will do that.
That's why I didn't want to talk all about that. I was afraid. I was like, well, what? You got to be more specific. You got to be a dad who is this. It's like you can't just be a mom. You have to be like, all right, you're divorced. So that just makes it more interesting, right?
That's why I did it. That's why I did it.
Yeah, let your hair grow gray. It's better for divorce.
That's why I did it. That's why I did it. Not the fact that I can't afford it. So I feel like your newest tour is that what are we going with the Italian thing? Is that what we're leaning towards?
Well,
I love the name.
That's getting towards the end, because that's been going for a little while now. I don't know if you're like me. Once I hit a year and a half on a tour title or a theme, I get bored, and then people give me shit. They're like, why don't you just stick with it? I'm like, I can't do the same theme for 7 years. I can't.
I'll tell you, it's very funny you say that, because I feel like both of us know comics that had been around for 40 some years and literally doing the same jokes that they did 40 years ago. And you're like, this should stop, right? But I had rocked the One Funny Mother. Let me talk about my kids. Let me talk about marriage for, I don't know, 18 years. It was a really long time. And then all of a sudden I found myself divorced. My kids had all moved out. It was me and 3 dogs in a king size bed. I was like, something's very off here. And
Right.
so I wrote a whole show about starting over and divorce and dating. And that's what I'm trying to write this book about. But that was new for me. Like I feel like my first hour and a half, 2 hours took me 18 years. And then when I went to write this next one, it literally took 6 months. And I was like, I think I can, but once you know how to write, your voice, you're like, I'm like, well, I can write faster. I know what my point of view is. But it takes 18 years to get there, right? Like
Well,
it takes you 18 years to learn
Well,
that.
I've noticed, and I don't know if this is all comedians' minds, or just you and I, but when I lock into the subject, I can write the show really fast. Like
Mhm.
my last comedy special, I think you said, it's called Mullets and Mixtapes.
Mhm.
That one was all about the 80s. And it
Mm.
was multimedia, and I had a huge screen on stage, so I was able to show pictures of different things from the 80s. And then I had half the stage look like my bedroom in the 80s compared to my son's bedroom now in 2022 when we filmed it, or 23. So once I had the theme of we're remembering a time, that I wrote like an hour and 15 minutes in like 5 months. It was like,
Wow.
it all doesn't kill, but you slowly start weeding it out. And then, but that's another one. I just had somebody today go, you should do that and do that in Pittman next year. I'm like, I already filmed the special. Like, I don't want to go I want to bring up, I want to do something new every year. That's the goal.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go bring the old special back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
wish I
that's awesome. And so is that a real statistic? You said, what is the name of the tour? You're how many % Italian?
Well, my wife came up with that number because I remember asking her PhD help. I go, I need a number because there was a joke. That one did well social media wise. The joke about how my dad's brother did the 23andMe. And I always was told growing up that we were 100% Italian because my parents are both Italian and their parents are all Italian. So growing up, when we grew up, that meant you were 100%. And then the joke was how my uncle did the test, and it turned out we were 60% Italian, 20. I'm going to do the math wrong now because I haven't done the joke in a while. 22% West Asian. 18%. I'm trying to remember. I can't do math on a live podcast. 18% North African and 2%. Oh, I did the math right? And 2% Sephardic Jewish. I go, in all these years, I thought my family was racist. They're not. They're just self-deprecating. That was a joke. So, but it was true. Like that was the results that he got. But that's only from my dad's side of the family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I don't really know the exact number, but I know we're not.
My mom did 23andMe. Now, same, right? She came all Italian family, the Pizzelles, the cannolis, whatever, right?
Yes.
So we do 23andMe. And I said, I'm going to put it under my name so the results come to me because I did her and my dad. And I said, and I'm going to reveal it to you online. And she was like, I don't even know why you're doing it. I'm 100% Italian. I mean, my mom is Italian. Her mom's Italian. I'm Italian. I didn't know why we do it. So the results came in and I had like a little card, like it was the Emmys. I was like, are you ready to see what percentage Italian? She's like, I don't even know why you bothered even to pay for it because I'm 100% Italian. And so I read it and I was like, you are 78% Italian. She was like, lies. I was like, that bitch, that's what it says. You are 78%. And the crazy, but the other ones were like close Mediterranean. It was like Baltic, the Maldives, something crazy, right? Well, months go by and she is adamant that this test is wrong, whatever. Next thing you know, she calls me. She goes, 23andMe reached out to me today. I said, oh, yeah, what'd they say? Well, they said I'm 82% now. I go, What? She goes,
Went up.
apparently the more people that sign up for 23andMe, the bigger like the data gets and can be more specific. So now I talked to her the other day. She's like, I'm 94% Italian. I'm going to hit 100. I said, it's not a thing. The number can't change. She goes, they told me that the number changes the more people. So she swears she gets more Italian every day. Every day it goes by, she's like, I'm 96%. It's just the most ridiculous thing. I go, it started out at 78%. She was like, no, I'm like 86, solid 86.
If she only knew that 78 is a lot. I mean, that's a lot in one of those tests. She is very Italian.
No, she will not accept anything less than 100%, Joe. She won't do it. She won't do it. So somebody asked, why did you choose comedy? So you said you were 19 when you started?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you know? I mean, you think about our kids now at 19, they're like lost, completely lost, no idea. So how does somebody at your 19-year-old, how did you know?
Well, I always say that the way kids grow up now, because they're on my son's playing video games in every down moment of his life. He's in his room with the door closed, playing video games, and we weren't. So at least we were, it's pathetic. At least we were watching TV. Like that was our video games, right? So I started to know what I was interested in at an early age because of TV. I mean, that's all I was doing was watching stand-up comedians on TV, and I would videotape them with the VCR. And then my dad loved comedy. And even my younger brother is 9 years younger. I mean, I grew up in a house where it was like, you got to get in here. Tom Rare is on.
That's awesome.
You got to come down. Cosby's on. Like anybody who was on TV doing stand-up, it would be like, you got to come down here. And that was our basement. Or I would tape guys and tell and my dad and brother did come down. It was like, it's what people do now with social media. Oh, you got to check this out. You got to check that out.
Oh, yeah. I will copy a link and send it to, I'm like, no, this reminded me. Remember we went on that vacation? I'll send it to everybody. It's always like a panda bear falling out of a tree. I love it. I'm just as bad as everybody else.
Yeah. So I used to have I played guitar when I was in high school, and I had a guitar amp that I would plug a microphone in when I was like 16, and I would go down in our basement and I would just talk into that thing. And I would listen to comedians on records and I would memorize their acts. I mean, all the stuff that you ever hear a comedian talk about that gets famous when you see their biography. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't know that, but I was doing all that shit by accident, so it's amazing that my parents weren't like, you should be trying to do comedy. Like it was the opposite. My mom was like, shut up, it's too loud, turn it off. Like that was what I grew up with. My grandma my grandma lived around the block. She was brutal. I mean, till she died, she was telling me to quit comedy. I mean, till the last breath, she's like, you should quit.
You suck.
You should stop that. Get a day job, so I should do that on stage. That's actually kind of funny. Her last breath. Quit.
You suck.
The priest is throwing the holy water on her. Just hold on. Quit. So
You're not funny.
Not funny. Yeah. So
wait, Joe. My mom just got on here. I'm 96.1% Italian. I just confirmed it on 23andMe. I told you.
Tell her that's 100% to me. That's 100% to me. Yeah. So when I would have started comedy at 16 if I knew that comedy clubs were right over the Benjamin Franklin Bridge in Philadelphia. Cherry Hill was 15 minutes from that Ben Franklin Bridge, but there was no internet. I did not know what was over the bridge. Mm-hmm. So I started community college in Blackwood, New Jersey. And I made friends with this guy, Arnold DeMarco, and he did open mic at the Comedy Works in Philadelphia. I didn't know he was doing it. He came over to my house one day and told me he did stand-up the night before that. And I go, where? And he's like, this place, the Comedy Works, you sign up and they give you 5 minutes. I'm coming with you next week. And then I never stopped. And it haunts him because he stopped and then started again and then stopped.
Yeah.
And then he's always like, I was funnier than you. I go, I know, but I never gave up, dude. I had to perfect.
You stopped.
You can only, he was way funnier than me off stage, way funnier than me at the top of the career. But dude, it's a marathon. I don't care how good you are at week 3.
It is. It's very funny. Is that, I think my kids, so I actually tour now with my son, who's 25, and my daughter, 22, and my mom, she's 76.
So you're like Josh Wolf. Do you know him?
No. Who's Josh Wolf?
Josh Wolf's doing amazing with him and his son. Josh Wolf used to do Chelsea Lately with me. He's one of the only comedians out there that's doing really well and actually gets back to me when I hit them up for a favor. He's like, I asked him to, post the link to my last YouTube special. He's like, send it to me. And he posted it on his Facebook. He's always great. Him and his son do stand-up together. Josh Wolf.
Awesome.
You should tour with them. That'd be hilarious.
That is funny. Now it's so funny because
you're like the Osmonds.
Dean and Jacqueline will do 10 minutes each, and then I'll go 50 minutes. And then my mom comes out and does a tight 5.
Are you kidding me?
And she kills.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, she got a tight 5, Joe, and she got sparkly sneakers. She's like, I'll only do it if you give me sparkly sneakers. So we have show shoes.
Well, remember how I said I have great insight on others, not on myself?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you not doing? They have Josh Wolf does his podcast with his son. All of his social media has his son involved.
My kids. I just said to my daughter, I said, hey, and Dean, I was like, why don't we collaborate and do something? They were now we were on the phone, but I could see her face. I was like, hey, why don't we do something together? She was like, I don't know that we have the same sense of humor.
That's why it'll be good. You shouldn't have the same sense. This guy's son had a drug problem and had to stop touring with him for a little while. And then when he came back, it probably made them sell 1 million tickets because he went to rehab and got sober and but the dad still smokes weed. That makes it interesting. And Josh Wolf's really fun. He's really funny. I don't know what his son does, but
that's
stupid that your daughter doesn't want to do it. If all 4 of you were on the screen together.
Mm-hmm. No, it's hilarious. The show is actually really funny. And at the end of the show, we do this thing called Battle of the Ages. And we bring an old person and a young person up to play with the team. So it's old against young. And then I will ask the young people, old people questions. And I ask the old people, young people questions. So what did I just ask Dean? I said, Dean, how long was the tour that Gilligan and his friends were on? Now it's him and an audience member that's around his age, and and my daughter was in there too. So there's 3 of them in their 20s, and you can see them thinking. And so I'm trying to help him. I'm like, Dean, just sing the song. He goes, there's a song, and I was like, okay. Yeah, I don't know what you're saying.
But then they should quiz you on their stuff too. Do they?
Well, then I go to my mom, and then I'll ask them a young people question. And those are so ridiculous. It's what does twerking look like, or some other young people question. I'll ask them something about Harry Potter usually, and they never get it right.
How did you get your mom to do stand-up?
It was very funny. It was all kind of happening. Like I said, I lost my dad at the same time that I was divorcing. So she became a widow. I became a divorcee, yada, yada. And I decided to do the tour because I realized that whether it was my mom, me, or my kids, that we were all mourning. We all had this broken family thing happening, and all of us were dealing with it in our own way, but all funny. She's hilarious. My kids are hilarious.
Comedy heals you when you're in those sad times.
Yeah. And I think that was kind of the nice thing that I don't think that I realized that I teach my kids, or I don't realize that my mom taught me and now I teach, and even my grandmom taught her, always trying to find something good, something funny in it. And so, I talk a lot about, kind of the divorcing and dating again. And now my mom her name is Diana. She got a boyfriend from the Bible study be going out on dates, Joe. She literally could do an hour, or I could do an hour on her.
Does she write? I'm sure people ask you this all the time. Does she write like her stand-up act?
Oh yeah, she writes all of it. She writes all of it, and sometimes she forgets it. And then I go, "Don't you want to tell them about when you went to the bathroom in Brooklyn?" Oh yeah. And then she'll do that. Sometimes she'll start throwing in new shit that I didn't even know. I'm like, "What are we doing?" She's like, "I had an idea." So she'll treat it like it's an open mic. I'm like, there are 800 people here. Do you think we could maybe just stick to? So then the first night that we do it, now normally when she would come to my shows, Joe, she had a great time. She would come, she got a bag of snacks, she's handing them out like she's working at like the Phillies game. She would just work the audience, right? But it's the first night, and we're like in like this theater that's like letting us borrow this space, and they're being very lovely. So it's like a test show, right? So Dean is trying to learn his lines. I'm learning, because there's parts where we're all together. So he's learning his lines. I'm learning my lines. My mom's standing at the door. She was like, "I'm going to head out." I go, "Where are you going?" She's like, "I have all these snacks I have to hand out." I go, "We have a show in 10 minutes. Do you know your lines?" And her answer was, "I got lines?" I go, "You're in a show now. You're not watching it. You're in the show." And most of the time when we travel together, because we fly around the country, I'll look at Dean. "Mom, don't listen to this part." And I look at Dean and I go, "Keep grandmom away from me. Sit right between us. I won't let her sit next to me."
So this is doing well. I mean, this isn't struggling. Like, this is doing well. Like, how do you bring the family into the social media side of things? You don't?
Well, nobody will do anything. Diana, my mom is on.
How are you selling all these tickets and getting bookings in all these places?
I don't know. I think some people remember me from certain videos. So, one of our
they're
videos.
coming just to see you. They're not like, "Oh, I'm a fan of your son or your daughter," or like.
Not yet, but I have a feeling that they will be. Yeah. No, the real star is my mom. I'm an opener that does 50 minutes, and then she comes in, does a tight 5 and kills, and everybody loves her.
But this sounds so easy for you to do social media with all of you. So you gotta I'm ready to come over your house when you're all together and just start filming shit and cut it together. Like, I'm gonna quit comedy and manage you guys. What the hell? That's like, I haven't seen anyone. That's when you know it's a good idea, when you can't think of anyone doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see a son and a daughter. But when you got the whole family involved, someone's mom and dad are up there too. Like, you got to get the cousins, put them all on stage.
Oh yeah. Well, it was funny because, so like I said, 2 of my kids do stand up. My other daughter doesn't. But she was talking to one of her friends. It was like, "Oh, my mom's a comedian." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I've never met anybody whose mom is a comedian." She's like, "Well, actually, my brother's a comedian, my sister, my mom, and my grandmom. They're all on tour right now." Because she's the only one not on tour with us. She has to watch the dog.
But I bet you could use her talent for something else besides on stage. So what does she do? What's her?
She's a violinist, and I actually think, of all of us, Joe, I think she's the funniest. She's got the driest sense of humor, and she's hilarious. Just her face. Like, I don't know, like, people would say to me, "Oh my gosh, the faces you make on stage are so funny." I can't see them, so I don't think that they're funny. And then I met my daughter, and I was like, she can throw a face from across the room, and I will piss myself laughing. I'm like,
why doesn't she just play like a couple of songs before the show? She's your opening act.
I know. Well, we need somebody to watch the dog show. I mean, everybody can't be a superstar.
Bring the dog too.
Somebody got to watch the dog.
It's a home run. The dog's involved. The dog was in the background of your talking to me. I don't know.
They're here. They're here.
All right.
So, well, listen, everybody, we're way past 10 o'clock, but it was such a pleasure talking to Joe. So, Joe, how can people find you? How can they follow you? How can they come see the shows? And just so you know, these bitches are going to show up, and they will be wearing One Funny Mother swag. And I
would love that. I would love it. I'll promote. I always don't like to promote a million shows. The next one that tickets are on sale for, that I want to get some people to come. Or I don't know if you have any fans up in Rochester. This is my first time going to Rochester, New York.
Yeah. Bob's up there.
What?
Bob's up there. Bob? He's here. Oh, yeah.
Bob, tell your friends I'm doing the 93.7% Italian tour January 17th and 18th in Rochester. And then,
And how do people find the full list? Because the people that are watching are
full
literally
list.
from all over the country.
The full list is always on joematarese.com. You just look at my name right there. Take the off. It's just joematarese.com. The full list is up there. I'm going to be in Florida, all over the Northeast, some Emmaus, Pennsylvania, kind of near you. Where did you say you're living now, Dina?
I'm in Pennsylvania now.
Yeah, I'm in Emmaus.
Just
I'm doing
outside
the
of
Emmaus Theater in Emmaus, Pennsylvania. Then I'm doing Cherry Hill, New Jersey on the day after Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is a great day. I bet the whole family is great for comedy.
It is great for
That-
comedy.
that-
Somebody
I'm,
said, "Are you coming to Albany?"
I'm not. People always know me in Albany because I opened for Sebastian Maniscalco at a really big venue there once. So they're always like a lot of
Nice.
Italians in Albany.
Nice. Somebody said, "How about Cincinnati?"
No,
Ohio
the
coming
Go
up.
Bananas doesn't book me anymore.
Hmm.
I haven't been there in like 12, 15 years. I used to do that club a lot. I don't go Midwest hardly ever. I go Northeast Florida, back and forth. It's like that's where the Italians are, and I just go
Yeah.
back and forth.
That's
Jersey, Pennsylvania, New England, back to Florida, back to Florida, I try to do Florida as much as I
Sharon
can.
just
in the
said
winter.
Emmaus. We'll be there.
Emmaus is a great one. I love
We'll
that
be
guy.
there in Emmaus, 20 minutes from them. Emmaus is me. Oh, yeah, you got a lot of people.
When are you and your whole family playing by me? I want to see this show live.
Well, where are you?
I live in New Rochelle, New York,
Okay.
in Westchester County, about 15, 20 minutes north of Manhattan.
Got it. Got it.
You ever play in Connecticut?
We did. I did like a 75 city tour during the pandemic with like two other girls, and it was about a year and a half. So we played everywhere. It was crazy.
I don't want to see that. I want to see your mom do stand up.
Yeah, you do want to see that. I'm right in the middle of trying to finish my book, so I'm trying to focus on that, and then I got to get back to some more stand up and more touring. But we have a show in South Jersey in Millville at the Levoy Theater.
Yeah. That was another one. Someone told me I should try to perform there, but they said it was
it's
very
a good one.
They said it was hard to draw people down there because it's kind of out there.
No,
There's a lot of Italians in Vineland, right?
Oh yeah, no, they would love you. You know South Jersey. They're your people. It's very fun.
Yeah,
so.
That's the problem. You can't hit 9 theaters in South Jersey. You got to do 1.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, but I would say that those two are great ones, and Scottish Rite is great. You know that one.
Yeah, Scottish Rite and Pittman seem to be the bigger ones.
Mm-hmm.
How big's the Millville?
I think
400,
6 or 8. 6.
Oh, it's pretty big then. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like it's a pretty big one. Yeah. So listen, if you've loved Joe and honestly just hanging out, it's so great. Thank you so much for being here, Joe. It was so great catching up, even if it's just virtually. If you'd like to hear more from Joe, his show is hilarious. I only know that because everything he does is hilarious. And the last time I saw him,
tell them to go watch my comedy specials on YouTube, at least the new one, Mullets and Mixtapes. It's right on my YouTube page. Watch it for free.
So Google anything Joe Matarese. You can find him on Instagram at the Joe Matarese. You can find him on his website, joematarese.com. That's where you can find a list of all of the places that he's going to be. But a very funny comedian. Thanks, Joe, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dana.
Hopefully, let us know are you going to be playing anywhere around here anytime soon?
What city do you live in?
Well, South Jersey, Philly.
Oh. Well, I was just Cherry Hill, New Jersey on February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. I'll be there.
Good.
And then Emmaus Theater the day before. I don't know how close you are to the Pennsylvania border.
Oh, good. So check it out, everybody. Joe, I'm going to say bye to you. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate you.
See you.
Joe is amazing. JoeMatarese.com. Check it out. He is touring. You'll be able to find him somewhere. Follow him on the Insta and the Facebook and all the TikTok things. But what a great conversation. I think it's really interesting. I love talking to comics. It's always been one of my favorite parts is kind of the camaraderie. And like there'd be a time where you like work together a lot. Like I would see Joe a lot, and then there'd be like years where you go by where you just don't see anybody. So it's nice to be able to just kind of pick up after years and just be like, what are you up to? What are things going on? So thanks to all of you that joined me tonight, and hopefully you enjoyed our conversation on Tipsy Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing more of you tomorrow for the morning show. So thanks for being here. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow, 8:30-ish for the morning show. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.